Hey everybody, this is Johnny the Guitar Dude. Today I'm going to show you how to tighten down a loose input jack. Let's go ahead and get started.
Alright, first things first, let's go over the tools we're going to need to complete the job. First of all, you're going to need a screwdriver. It doesn't matter if it's a Phillips or a flathead, as long as it's the right size to deal with the screws that we're going to be taking out and putting back in. Next, you're going to need a pair of needle nose pliers. And lastly, you're either going to need another pair of pliers or a ratchet socket wrench that's small enough to fit over the nut on your input jack. Okay people, now would be a good time to associate yourself with what kind of input jack you have on the guitar that you play. In most situations, you're going to find your input jack here on the side of the guitar down near the bottom. But in some special cases, like on some Flying V's and on most Fender guitars like Stratocasters, you're going to find your input jack here on the actual body of the guitar on the front. Either way, whether it's on the side or if it's on the front here, the steps to do this is pretty much the same, so it's not going to be very much different at all. The next step you're going to want to do is turn your guitar over and then remove the back plate that covers up the electronics on the inside of your guitar. And if you take a close look, you'll notice that you've got all your wires that run from your input jack to your toggle switch to your knob pots to the front to go to your pickups and your humbuckers. All you want to do is take the screws out on the corners and pop the plate off and open this up. Take the time to familiarize yourself with how the electronics of your guitar is set up. How many knobs do you have? Do you have one toggle switch or multiple switches? Which color wires run and where, and which connects to what? And you want to figure out what color wire is attached to your input jack. One of the key important things when removing the jack from the plate and tightening down the nut is you want to make sure that you don't yank it too hard or pull on it too hard, because then you're going to rip the solder off of the input jack, and you don't want to do that because you're going to have to take a soldering iron and fix anything you messed up. So when you're doing this kind of work, you want to be very careful and make sure that you don't tug or yank these wires too hard, because you don't want anything coming disconnected. Now that we've gone over all the parts you need to be familiar with, let's go ahead and take this jack plate off and do the work. We start off by taking out the screws here on either side. You want to make sure to take the screws out slowly and carefully. You don't want to strip the hole, because then you're going to have to go to a larger size screw. Go ahead and take the plate off. Just a second here. Get the other screw. Alright, now that you got your screws out, you want to make sure to put them somewhere where you're not going to lose them. And be careful taking the jack out. You don't want to pull the wires too hard, like I said before. Now if you take a look, you can see there's a nut on either side. The nut here on the outside and the nut here on the inside, closest to the internals of the jack. What you want to do is take a pair of your pliers, hold on to the nut, don't squeeze too tightly because you don't want to break your input jack, and take your second pair of pliers, grab hold of the nut on the outside and tighten. Make sure it doesn't slip out of your hands. You want to hold it tight enough to where it's not going to slip, but you don't want to break it. And you just grab your nut here and you tighten her up. You tighten it until it's nice and tight, and then when you're done, there you go. Your input jack's tightened down now. You can put it back in and you can put your screws back in, and you're finished.